Let's talk about the top words that I hear in my coaching calls. So I have been coaching for over 6 years. If you're familiar with the ICF credentialing, so that's the International Coaching Federation, think of them as like the governing body of coaching to make sure that you're doing the right things, all the things. So they've got different levels of certification. So I am what's called a PCC level, which is Professional Certified Coach. I have at this point, it was 2,500 hours of coaching when I applied for that a few months ago. So even more than that. I say that to say I have done quite a bit of coaching. It's one of my favorite things that I do. And I coach from small business owners and entrepreneurs, personal trainers, financial advisors, other coaches in that whole realm, and then also in organizations from individual contributors who are looking to improve, managers, and now mostly I do executive level coaching, so director and above, all the way up through the C-suite. Why do I say all of that? Because first, and I forgot to say too, across from an organizational standpoint, across industries. So insurance, financial services, retail, biomedical engineering, healthcare. I have had clients in so many industries, manufacturing. I say all of that to say that there are a few common words that I hear from almost every single client. Okay. Across all of these different industries, across these different positionings. And so what does that tell us before I tell you what the words are? That tells us is that so many people, and you probably listening, are struggling with these same things. How they show up for you and what they mean for you and what we do with that might look different, but there are so many commonalities. What do you think the words are? Here's like the drum roll. Confidence. Confidence is the number one word that I hear when I am either on a discovery call and like, hey, what is it you want to work on? Or when we start diving into their goals, it's confidence. Now, confidence surface level can mean so many different things. Confidence for one person might be confidence to pick up the phone and make a sale or to send a message to someone. For someone else, confidence is asking for a raise, a promotion, presenting in an important meeting, presenting to the board. What confidence looks like might be different, but I hear the word confidence. So many people struggling with confidence. The other key words that I hear might not necessarily be the words that they're saying, but when I summarize it for them, it comes down to presence, influence. And I've talked about this so many times because I just today got done on multiple one-on-one coaching clients, as well as had some discovery calls for some other clients. Confidence came up, and then other ways they said, I want to be able to say what I need to say more efficiently in meetings. I want to be more concise when I speak. I want to drive decisions and I want to get buy-in from people. I want to feel like I can say things with authority and people are bought into it and they want to follow my ideas. I want to build connections. All of those come down to having that influence. And so if you're listening to this and if you're nodding your head, I just want to say you aren't alone. I think when we can humanize and just normalize having those feelings, and I've talked about this before, but I remember when I was in an organization and I would look to the higher level leaders and be like, they have it all figured out. They're so confident. They've just had more practice in it. But let me just tell you, coaching them now, they still struggle with those things. And if you're in one of those positions and you're going, I feel like an imposter, I feel like a fraud because I shouldn't be, doubting myself or whatever it might be, you're not alone. It's what do you do with that? So the first thing I want you to do is I just want you to say like, it's okay. It's okay. And then I want you to get really clear on what is making you not feel confident. What situations are you not feeling confident in? How do you define confidence? What does it look like in action? What does it look like when you're confident? And maybe it is pointing to other people who have that confidence. And when you grow that skill, what is it going to allow you to do? When I ask people that, often they say, I'd speak up in meetings. I would ask for that opportunity. And their energy just changes and their excitement just changes because that is the thing. And it's so interesting because now, I just look at my son Sawyer, who's 9, and we look at these ages that are so critical where we are forming our identity and we're forming our confidence. I've talked about this before, between the ages of 8 to 10 are so critical because we really start to form identity. We start to get these stories from school, from others, from society, some version of not feeling good enough. And then we carry that into adulthood. And so I am so hyper focused and aware on that with my son now, because oftentimes when I'm talking to people in conversations, it came from this story that they told themselves. And I'm like so jazzed about this as I'm telling you, because I also just, what was I listening to? Oh, I was listening to Rachel Hollis. If you follow her, I have gone to some of her professional development conferences in the past. She had a little clip on social media that she had done at one of her conferences. It might actually have been the conference I was at. And she was talking all about fear and how fear is completely self-created, because what you fear is not the same thing that someone else fears. Like if you're afraid of one thing and someone else isn't afraid of it, that means that it's completely constructed from ourselves. And so the thing that we're afraid of, if we've created it, we also can be the one to destroy it. And I say that because it was like, that is so true. And I relate that so much to the stories that we tell ourselves. We can tell ourselves stories of all of these bad things are going to happen or how we don't want to mess up. And if we can do that, then that also means we can rewrite and change that story and tell ourselves all the things that are going to happen, all the positive things. So I want you to get clear on where might you be struggling with confidence, where do you want to have more influence, and what is going to be possible for you when you do it.